Hi, my name is Romy. Welcome back to Start Pages. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Island the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri. The synopsis says, in a mirror England, fueled by stories, the knight and the witch are fated to fall in love and doom each other over and over. The same fable retold over 1,000 lifetimes. But Vina and Simran are looking for a way to break the cycle, just as a mysterious assassin begins targeting tales like theirs. So I gave this book 4 stars. I really liked it. I've read The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, and I'm currently in the middle of The Oleander Sword. So when I saw the arc, I was like, slay. I got an email from Orbit Books with a list of arcs I could request, and it was on there, and I enjoyed The Jasmine Throne, and I'm reading The Oleander Sword, or at the point when I requested the book, I hadn't started reading The Oleander Sword yet, but I liked The Jasmine Throne, so I was like, okay, Tasha Suri looks like she has some good shit going on, so I requested it, and I got approved. Love that for me. So I'm glad I liked it. The world building in this book was absolutely spectacular. A lot was promised and everything was delivered, like every single thing. I love it. The idea behind the Isle, like the idea behind how the Isle works, is so interesting. Different stories sustaining different parts of the Isle, with these incarnates being compelled to act out the story in the exact same way every time, no matter what they're actually like before the tale begins, in order to sustain these places. That's crazy. That's actually kind of crazy. I don't know what I would do. I loved it so much, and it was written so well. I think the reason I loved it so much is because the tragedy of it all. Like, take for instance the characters who know they're destined to die and they just have to live their life waiting until their tale comes. Not only do they know they're destined to die, they know exactly how it's going to happen. And then everybody around them also knows how it's going to happen and why it's going to happen, and like, you're expected to just accept it. But then also they're resigned to their duty, because they know that if their tale is not carried out, then whatever part of the Isle that their story is sustaining will suffer. And I think that feeling of tragedy, that like those the array of emotions that characters could feel, is described beautifully. Can you imagine being a guest in your own body and mind, as your personality and agency just completely disappears and is taken over by somebody from way back, replaying a tale that's happened over and over? That's crazy. Good thing you don't have to imagine it though, because it was written in the book. It was described perfectly, so now you know. So I think the world building, the magic system, and just the lore and everything was done well, but the world building about the setting specifically could have used a bit more work. It wasn't absolutely terrible, but some more explanation for certain things was needed. Like, when is the story set? Like, what time? When is the story set? We have knights in full medieval armor, right? And they're using swords, but we also have pistols, right? And I assume certain things have to stay a certain way because the characters need to carry out the tale the exact way it happened the first time. So if they didn't have guns in the first story, you can't kill the person you're destined to kill with a gun if you're supposed to use a sword. You know what I mean? So the knights are still wearing their armor and still carrying their swords, because the multiple knights are incarnates of stories they have to carry out. But why is the entirety of the queen's defense still knight? Like, you don't have anybody up in there, anybody else doing anything, moving on with the rest of the world. I don't understand, because I feel like certain things could have been enhanced, like certain things, like in the queen's domain specifically, like in her palace and how she rules the country. I feel like certain things could have changed without impacting the tales, and I don't understand why they didn't. And it wasn't making any sense when you take into account the rest of the stuff that was happening in like England or whatever. So I feel like Suri could have explained a bit more. So romance now. The sapphic yearning in this book wasn't extremely off the charts, but it was getting up there, and I love that for me. Do I love that for them? Yeah, yes I do actually. It's in the upper echelon of sapphic yearning, if you will. The tension of, are we falling in love because we actually fall in love, like, or are we just falling in love because the tale is about to begin and the characters need to fall in love? Do we love each other, or does a past version of myself love the past version of you, right? Crazy. Absolutely insane. And then the way it was described and the way how they described each other and how they felt about each other. I love gay people. Guys, like, I just, if you look up hopeless romantic in the dictionary along with the word definition, my picture will be there because it's going to do it for me every time. Every time. Not all the characters had labeled identities, so I loved how varied the queer identities were, and I also loved how Vina and Simran's relationship wasn't a spectacle in the sense that queer characters and queer identities are only accepted outside of the incarnate cycle, because so much relies on the story being carried out the same way. So I wasn't happy about it, but I was kind of bracing myself for Vina and Simran to be the odd ones out because everybody else is in a male-female pairing, because the story was always a male-female pairing, and it would have been like a whole thing of them being queer, right? And then it would have been a pretty neat but like played out segue into talking about homophobia in the world, this world specifically, and blah 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 blah. Luckily that didn't happen, and I'm glad it wasn't done. What Tasha Suri did do though was a conversation on racism, right? It wasn't like a deep dive, but it was there, and I liked how it was handled. The story was split into two parts, and I do think overall the pacing was okay. It was acceptable, but the ending of part one, which would be the middle of the story, and then the ending of part two, which is the end of the story, they were rushed. It's like, I guess Tasha Suri is not great with endings, at least in this book. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I really, really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. This book is scheduled to be released on the 21st of October. I think if it was changed, I'll add the updated date on the screen. Thank you so much to Orbit for an arc of this book. Regarding liking, commenting, and subscribing, do what you want. Bye.